Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, and today I'm going to be bringing you my very first guide. This is going to be a bit of a starter guide, give you guys a tour of what Elgato looks like, where you can expect to do some of the usual things that you do in Monster Hunter, and also a couple of more tips from my personal experience with the game. This should be useful whether you're maybe like a veteran that already played Rise and you're returning for Sunbreak, or if you're a completely new player that hasn't even played Sunbreak and you're going to be starting out with Rise. Some of the tips here will be useful for you as well. I'm just trying to provide you guys with something that you can kind of just get started and understanding some of the multiple systems that the game has. This is probably going to be something that I'll have to do an addendum in the future when I come up with new things that I find are important for you guys to include in your monster hunting routine. But for now, these are the features that I'm going to be talking about. You can actually scroll through those in the timeline of this video, because I'm going to be doing the whole YouTube chapters thing that you can just select things that you are interested in and you can skip around if you want to, or just watch the whole video. I'll try to keep it brief, even though this intro is already way too long. One of the cool things that I'd like to start by talking about is how you guys like my layered armor. Isn't that awesome? I really liked this armor when I saw it, so I crafted it. There's a bunch of new layered armor that is really cool, but you know what is even cooler is the fact that now you can actually hide the camera interface whenever you want to, you know, grab a screenshot, because this is something that I've wanted for ages and you actually couldn't do it. This way you can take screenshots either on your Switch using the built-in share functionality, or on Steam by pressing F12. You just have to hide it by pressing R3 on your controller. By the way, speaking of controller, you're going to be seeing PlayStation controls on my end because that is what I'm doing. I'm playing this on PC and I'm using a DualShock 4. So, you know, look at your equivalent, whether you're using an Xbox controller, Switch controller, whatever. Try to figure that stuff out, okay? You're going to be seeing PlayStation prompts on my end, is the point. Anyway, welcome to Elgato. As you guys can see, this is our new base. We can see the whole base here. There's like a castle structure here that is really cool. There's a bunch of stuff to do. And I'm going to be telling you guys like a couple of tips as to, you know, things that you can do while you're in Elgato, things that are essential for you while you are out and about in your hunts. We're going to start off by going over some of the customization options that you have for actually playing the game, because I find these to be particularly important. I always mess around with these things. This is like the first thing that I do if I'm starting like a new save file for whatever reason in Monster Hunter Rise. These are the first things that I do. So let's go ahead and go into the options menu. This gives you a lot of options to mess around and whatnot. One of the important things that you might want to check out is you can go into game settings, and then you can go into HUD settings, and in here you can actually open up settings menu and you can customize all the things that you want to show up in your HUD. So for instance, I actually turned off switch skill info because I don't really need to have this on screen, because I usually know what I put on each of the switch skill scrolls, so you can just turn that off. If for some reason you want to turn something else off, you can do that. Like, hey, maybe you don't want to look at your player name, boom, turn that off. Maybe you're like, oh, I want to go do a challenge and not put on my health gauge, hey, you can turn that off. I would not recommend it. You can turn off quest info because you find it clutters your screen. You can turn off a whole bunch of stuff. The UI is fully customizable, which is pretty cool. So I just removed this, but I just wanted to let you guys know that the option for you to mess around with this stuff is there. Another thing that I would highly recommend, turn on silhouette. What does this do? Whenever you happen to be behind a monster, you're not going to be able to see your character. For some reason, the monster is between you and the camera. If you turn on silhouette, there's multiple types. You can mess around with it. I just use silhouette 1, but basically what this does is it shows you a silhouette of your character if the monster happens to be covering it in the camera, so that you can see what animation your character is doing, what direction you're facing, all of that stuff, right? Another important thing is, if you go all the way to the bottom here, you have controller button icon type. And I'm bringing this up because Gaijin was struggling to find this particular setting. So, controller icon type, this is basically if you happen to be playing on PC. If you're on Switch, this doesn't actually do anything, but if you happen to be playing on PC, you can change the icons of your controller. As you can see, you have Xbox icons here. I think this is for the 360 controller, then this would be for the Xbox One controller, and this is for PlayStation 4. And there's even an option for like a Switch controller if you happen to have one. You know, there's a bunch of stuff in here. Like this is even a different like PlayStation layout loadout for the DualSense. There's a bunch of buttons. You can choose whichever ones you prefer. Like I said, I'm using DualShock 4, so I'll stick to this. You can turn on vibe. Oh, interesting. You can actually have I didn't realize that there was also vibration style. Cool. You might want to change that stuff around too. Anyway, moving onwards. Controls. Why is this important? Because for starters, by default, the game puts you on auto sheath. Trust me, you don't want that. Swap it over to manual sheath. Then buttons for wyvern riding. This is important because by default, if you attack a monster when it's about to be wyvern ridden, you're going to automatically mount the monster. If that's the setting that you want, that's fine, but you can now change it to where you have to actually sheath your weapon and press circle or A if you're on Switch or B if you are on Xbox controller. And this makes it so that you don't accidentally ride monsters. You can continue attacking the monsters, and it'll shorten the amount of time that they are in the mounted state, so to speak. Most of the other stuff here you can customize if you want to. However, I would recommend changing the radial menu settings to Type 2. So Type 1 is basically like you have to flick your controller in order to consume an item, whereas in here you have to press down on the right stick of your controller in order to consume an item. I would always recommend Type 2. I always do this. Then we can go to camera, and on camera you might want to scroll all the way to the very bottom unless you want to mess with any of these other things, and you want to increase camera distance to maximum. This is my recommendation again because you're going to zoom out your character a little bit, and what that's going to allow you to do is you're going to have more spatial awareness because your character's not going to occupy as big of a space on screen. But again, you don't have to do it. This is, again, something that you can do if you want to. And then there's a bunch of other like settings here that you might want to mess around with. These are graphical settings and whatnot, but we're not really going to be going into these. Another important thing that you might want to mess around in is if you go to items and equipment and you select radial menu settings, you can go then into quests, and in here you can actually customize your radial menu so that when you are in quests, oh, this doesn't have the things that I want, you can come in here and you can select each individual thing. Okay, what do you want here? You want item pouch, maybe you want to like a tranquilizer bomb, you want a poison smoke bomb, whatever. My recommended set, and not really recommended, but the settings that I tend to use is I have mega potions up here, I have first aid med plus down here. These are consumables that you'll be able to pick up in most quests. So I usually use these ones down here before I go for these ones. I have used the Felvine. This is only useful if you have a Palico among your companions because this is going to boost their capability of doing more support skills. So basically you try to keep this on cooldown as much as possible. At the bottom here I have easy ration. You guys were like, oh, but at the bottom there's usually the thing to mount your Palamute. If you just hold down on the circle button or A button if you're on Switch or B button if you are on an Xbox controller, if you just hold down the right faceplate button on your controller, it automatically will mount your dog. You don't have to have it on the wheel. That's my opinion. Anyway, in here we have a null berry, just in case you're fighting a monster that has any status ailment that's annoying. You got a flash bomb here on the right side because, you know, sometimes you want to flash monsters. You got herbal medicine up here in case you get poisoned, and you have a whetstone up top, which is actually its default location. I have a different shortcut for this, which has max potions in here. This is like a different loadout that I have. This is just if I'm fighting something a little bit more tough and I want to have max potions, then I'll use this. But yes, make sure to customize this stuff to the best of your ability so that you're not in the middle of a hunt and you're like, oh, fumbling around like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, this is crazy. Anyway, yeah, that's the stuff about customizing just like your basic player experience, just to kind of get you started. Anyways, moving onwards. Next up, unlocking new Switch skills. I know that a lot of you guys are going to be wondering, okay, so how do you unlock Switch skills? Because back in Monster Hunter Rise, you needed to craft like 8 of a weapon to unlock a certain skill. Then you have to do a specific quest later down the line to acquire a different skill. And I would actually say that that was a little bit of a hassle because I'm pretty sure that there were actually a lot of players that were playing the game and they probably didn't even knew that they had certain Switch skills. This time around, they changed how that works. So the way that it works is when you first come to Elgato, after you start on the quest that brings you over to Elgato, they're going to just straight up unlock 2 Switch skills for you for every single weapon in the game. They're going to give you 2 new Switch skills. And then they're going to give you 2 more when you reach about halfway through Master Rank 4 as you are doing your key quests. So you don't have to worry about, oh, do I need to do some requests? Do I need to craft a certain amount of weapons? Do I need to do something crazy to get my Switch skills? No, just play the game, advance through the key quests, and by the time you get midway through Master Rank 4, you will have all of your Switch skills available to you. unless they've hidden some switch skills beyond like Master Rank 50 or something that I'm not aware of yet because I haven't reached Master Rank 50 yet. But yeah, unlocking the switch skills this time around, way easier than it was with Rise, and to me, that was a welcome addition. If anything, I think it would have been more interesting if they doled them out a little bit more slowly instead of coming in batches of 2. Like, okay, here's one new switch skill, now they're Elgato, then you complete Master Rank 1, here's another one, then you complete Master Rank 2, here's another one, you complete Master Rank 3, here's another one. I think that would have been more interesting because that way you have more time to get acquainted with the switch skills, but you know, this way works as well. So just remember, halfway through Master Rank 4, you are going to get all of your switch skills unlocked. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, lottery. We have to talk about lottery because in Elgato, it's not as obvious. And then a lot of times, you might actually miss out on it. Now, you'll notice that the music, for starters, I mean, they tell you every time you get to the city, but sometimes you're just not paying attention. But, so they'll tell you when the lottery is available. Like, oh, there's a discount going on. And you'll like, oh, then that means there's a lottery. But if you notice, right now, you're just listening to the traditional Elgato music. And if you teleport around, like, oh, let me go to the command post. And it's like, oh, okay, it's still the same music. Let me go to the Central Plaza, still the same music. Whereas if you were to go to the Steelworks during a sale, you would automatically listen to the music. Oh, there's a sale going on. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on sales, make sure to swing by Homeboy over here, Oboru the Merchant. And if you hear a different music than the traditional music in town, then you know there is a lottery happening. Why are lotteries important? Because, you know, you can get items through lotteries and stuff like that. It only costs you 500 Zenny, which, by the way, Zenny this time around seems to be a lot easier to get. As you can see, I have 7 million. I started playing the game with about 3 million. Zenny isn't really as much of a problem as it was in Rise. And I currently have like 2 or 3 fully upgraded armor sets, something like that. So Zenny, not nearly as much of a problem. Now, a cool thing about the lottery this time around is that it also gives you that lucky prize thing. It gives you 2 additional balls. That gives you these lucky ball points, and sometimes you might actually get something that allows you to speed up the melding process, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But yeah, let's go ahead, participate in the lottery. This is also how you get like statues and stuff for your room. So as you can see right now, it's going to give you a new animation, badunk, and it rolls around, gives you another ball, and this ball contributes a bunch of lucky points. Once you get to the max amount of lucky points there, it's going to give me 5 times life powder. So it's just, I would always recommend use the lottery because it's just giving you free items, basically. And, you know, for the amount of Zenny that it costs, it's really not that expensive. So while we're here with Oboru, let's also talk about the melding pot, which is something that a lot of players did not like. You guys might remember this is what the melding pot looked like back in Rise. You have Reflecting Pool, Haze, whatever. But basically the only 2 that you really did near the end was Melding Wisp of Mystery and Melding Rebirth. Now, my recommendation is until you hit credits on this game, don't actually use the Melding Ritual unless you're in dire need of a brand new charm. Just keep using what you have because the ritual is going to be the same until you finish the game. Not really finish the game, but until you roll credits, because by the time you roll credits, you're not really going to be done with the game. So my advice here is don't really worry too much about melding until you get to end game, because by the time you defeat the kind of like final boss, I'm doing air quotes here because it's not really the final boss, but you know, by the time you defeat the secret monster that comes after the flagship, right? They're going to unlock these 2 things for you, Melding Anima and Melding Reincarnation, which is the exact same thing that you had before. It's basically Wisp of Mystery and Wisp of Rebirth, but supposedly it can give you better results. And I say supposedly because, as per usual, this is going to be RNG, so your mileage is going to wildly vary. My first pull on Anima Meldings was fantastic. I got like 3 Evade Extender, 2 Speed Sharpening with a Tier 3 slot. It was great. Every single pull after that has been trash after trash after trash. So it's like, I don't know what to tell you. But either way, one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because I was talking about how you can get stuff for melding in the lottery, there are chances for you to get through the lucky bonus roll, whatever, some what do they call them? Melding Ritual Accelerants, which are those little red things that you can see on the top right-hand side next to the Kimura points. So basically, those things will allow you to instantly get the result of a meld. So if I go in here, let me actually just do a meld real quick for you guys. We can just do a meld, and I will confirm. And now look, when you confirm the melt here, it's going to tell you, do you want to spend 1 MP accelerant to receive a talisman immediately? That is the currency thing, and you can get that through doing the lottery. Not just the lottery, there are a couple more things that can give you melding points accelerants. But basically, if you hit yes, they're going to instantly allow you to take the talismans. So as you can see, we got 3-item prolonger here. I even did like a pull for you guys. Just, yeah, as you can see, I wasn't particularly lucky, but yeah. And the melding reincarnation is basically okay. You can grab whatever things you didn't like, and you can make 3 talismans out of it. So that's how melding pot works. Like I said, I'd recommend you guys to wait until you finish the game before you start your melding stuff. That's just a recommendation. Now, while we're near here, we should go talk to my waifu here, who is Manale the Blacksmith. She is friggin' awesome. I love Manale. She's amazing. And we're going to be talking about Rampage Decorations. Why is this important? So if you guys remember, you used to have something in Rise called Ramp Up Weapons, which allowed you to set Rampage skills for whatever weapons you happen to have. So let's say, for instance, you got a Princess Rapier 2. You can choose between Attack Boost 2, Poison Boost 1, or Smaller Monster Exploit. That's not how things work anymore. Once you start upgrading your weapons into G rank, you can no longer set Rampage skills to them. Instead, these weapons are going to get Rampage slots. So these are special slots that your weapons are going to have. If we actually go over here into set decos, I can show you guys. So Roar the Canine, this is the final version of one of the Guild Gun Lances. And if we go over here, you can see that it's got Rampage slot, Anti-Dragon Jewel 2. So this weapon has a tier 2 Rampage slot, and it allows me to slot Wyvern Exploit into it. Different weapons are going to have different tiers of Rampage slots, but basically this is how it works now. It's basically a decoration. It's a special decoration. It's called Rampage Decoration. Does not actually require you to go do rampages, so don't be scared about that. There's no rampages in the game up until this point. But basically you can just create, you know, stuff like, you guys might remember Teostra's Soul, which you can only put on Teostra weapons. You can output it whatever you want. So you put Teostra's Soul on like a Magnamalo weapon, and it still increases the damage dealt by blast explosions. You can grab Chameleos Soul, and it is no longer, you know, limited to being in a Chameleos weapon. There's even specific ones for weapons, like you have a Worm Stake one here that will boost the Worm Stake level of your gun lance. Does not go above 8, so don't even try. But if you happen to have like a Shelling level 7 gun lance with a tier 3 slot, you can put this in here, and the Worm Stake is going to be level 8. So that's kind of like how that stuff works. There's also one for dual blades, which increases the affinity when you are in demon mode, but it also doubles sharpness degradation. So if you do this, you'll probably want to play protective polish. There's one for switch axe as well, but you guys get the idea. Basically, every weapon has a rampage slot, and you can create these rampage decorations, slot them in there, exchange them around. It's not like they're bound to the weapon. They work just like regular decorations. They're just called rampages because they come with these really powerful skills. And, you know, you can only put them in Rampage slots. You can't put these decorations anywhere else. But that's how Rampage Decorations works. There's no more ramp-up system. Now it's just Rampage Decorations. Like I said, though, no actual rampages. You just play through the game and you get the materials to craft these bad boys. So that's how that works. Now let's talk about villager requests. These are pretty important. Those of you who've played through Rise, you guys will remember. Every now and then you'll come to the city and you'll see, oh, there's a balloon here. I should probably go talk to that guy. And there will usually be more balloons. You'll always want to make sure to talk to everybody in town before you go on to your next quest, because sometimes they might give you a request that you can go and do in a quest that you're going to be working on anyways, so you're just getting rewards for doing stuff that you were going to do anyways, right? So the way that it usually works is like if it's a blue balloon, that means that it's a request that they have to make you. If it's an orange balloon, that means that you're going to be getting a reward for something that you've completed. If it's a purple one, this is related to the new follower quest system and stuff like that, which I'm not going to be talking about follower quests here because they're just standard quests, it's whatever. But if you have a purple one, talk to them. They're probably going to give you a new follower quest. If you have like a red one, that means that it's a main story progression thing that you'll want to go and do. And also important is if you open up your map, and you can do that by pressing, that'll be back on the Xbox controller, or it will be like the share button on your DualShock 4. depending on your settings, or it will be what is it? It's the minus button on the Switch controller. But anyways, you open up your map. Actually, that's a setting that I've changed. I forgot that I had changed that. If you go into controls and you can see, it's actually a little bit tricky. It's at the bottom here of the controls. It's the last one. And basically, if you see there, it's actually symbolizing in the actual touchpad, but what I'm using is the share button. But basically, if you press it, it instantly opens the world map. By default, if you press it, it is going to open the chat menu, but I changed it so that you have to hold it in order to open the chat menu. But basically, it's whatever you have bound to open up your map, right? So if you open up your map, you'll notice that there's actually going to be a balloon letting you know where there's a quest. Because sometimes you might be walking around, let's say I was actually over here, you wouldn't see the balloon because it's too far away. So it's always a good idea whenever you come back to Elgato, open up your map, check up what's going on, and they'll let you know, oh, there's a villager request here. You can also swap back to Kimura because sometimes there will be requests in Kimura as well. In this case, the request is the same, so it doesn't matter where you pick it up. So we're going to go to the market here. We're going to be talking to our buddy, and he's going to tell us, oh, you've been bringing your buddies with you to quests, and so I'm going to give you a buddy ticket, whatever. It's just a reward thing, not really a big deal, but sometimes you'll actually have requests for you. And now you guys might be like, okay, Rurikhan, so I talked to everybody in the village, but I wasn't really paying attention to what they were saying, so I don't actually remember what the hell they asked me to do. That's fine. You can open up your menu. You go up to where it says side quest. That's the second one. So quest, side quests. And in there, the optional side quests, these are just going to be things that you'll want to keep up. I can show you guys what these are in a second. But you'll want to go to requests. And then in requests, it'll show you like literally everything that you've already done. So you want to cycle once to the right, and it'll show you the stuff that you have pending. So for instance, I'm supposed to go grab like a Hermitor in the jungle. There's more stuff here. I don't want to show all of them because some of them might have monsters that some of you guys have not talked about, but you know, there'll be all of the requests in here that will tell you what you have to do. In this case, they would want me to just kill 8 Hermitors in the jungle, and that will unlock my jungle subcamp. But there might be stuff like, oh, capture this monster, take a picture of this monster doing this thing. There's multiple objectives that you'll want to get. Now, some of you guys might be like, okay, Rurikhan, what was the side thing that you were talking about? And the side thing that I was talking about is this, optional subquest. You want to make sure that you always have 5 of these active. The reason you always want to have 5 of these active is because they give you additional Kimura points, which appear to be a bit of a pain point because my Kimura points have almost not raised at all since I've started playing Sunbreak. So these are definitely things that you want to stay on top of. So you want to make sure that you gather insects, gather bones. Make sure to pick 5 of these and try to do them while you are doing regular quests because they give you a lot of Kimura points, and they also give you a bunch of armor spheres. So these are extremely important. I would highly recommend you always make sure to keep 5 optional subquests running to maximize your rewards as you go through the game. Now, let's talk about Dango tickets. As you guys know, you come up to the Dango thing in the canteen. Unfortunately, it's still Dango. Like, I thought it was fun when we were back at Kimura, but now I just think that our hunter is going to be getting diabetes. Now, if you pay attention, when you come to the canteen, you can order your buddy Dango, you choose the skills that you want and whatnot, and then you can use a Dango ticket, right, by pressing the top faceplate button. And you guys will be like, oh yeah, and that increases your chances of getting these buffs, right? Yeah, that's great. The problem is there's limited tickets. If you look to the top of the screen here, you'll notice that I only have 91 tickets left. So I already told people how to do this in Monster Hunter Rise, but just in case some of you guys weren't paying attention, I'm going to tell you how to do it here too. You come over to the buddy dude because he basically also handles all of the trading and stuff like that. You can also do this from your room if you want to. Your room attendant can also get you this stuff. So you can go to the Argosy and then you can go exchange for items. Once you go exchange for items, you're going to select trade goods. And then in trade goods, you're going to go for raw meat because it's pretty cheap and you can get a bunch of it using Kimura points. We're just going to go ahead and buy 99. Whoa, not that. We'll just buy 99 of it. Actually, let's buy 50. No, let's buy 100. Let's buy 100. We'll just go ahead and buy 100 of it. Actually, no, we should do 99 because 99 is the maximum you can do at any given time. And right now, I don't actually need to buy Dango tickets. I'm fine, but you know. So the way that you do is you grab this meat You buy it, and now you have 99 additional meat, right? And you can just get that through points. That's why it's important to keep up with your points, because you're going to be needing those in order to do the thing that I'm about to teach you. So when you do that, you go to the canteen again, and then you go Motley Mix. And in the Motley Mix, there's the raw meat. You just get your raw meat and cook all of it. You guys are like, well, yeah, but I don't really need the meat, Ruri. Why am I doing all of this nonsense? What are you doing, bro? Look at you. You have 990 well-done steaks, and you're cooking 99 more. What is wrong with you? And I'll explain to you in a second. Just cook these and trust me, okay? You're going to cook these. There's going to be a little animation. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to cook your food. It's going to be awesome. We're going to blow these bamboo sticks into the oven, and then it's going to explode, and your meat's going to be perfect. Because that's how it works in Monster Hunter World, right? Things explode, but your food becomes excellent. That's just the way that it goes, right? So anyways, you take all of this stuff, or you can sell it if you want to. It's not really a big deal. But notice that once you do this, oh, there's now a dialogue over in the cook. So you go over to the cook, you talk to him, Mizuki the cook. Thank you for all your Motley Mix orders. Preparing the crazy ingredients you bring me gets my own culinary juices fired up. As a special thank you, here are some tickets to order my very best Dango. Please keep eating Bunny Dango. And as you can see, we just got 44 Dango tickets. So this is going to be something that's going to be keeping you, constantly going through and always using Dango tickets in order to get the best chances of activating food buffs, because not all of them are 100%. Like, for instance, Bombardier, which is the most important food for gun lancers, is only 50%. So if you want to get the best chances, you want to use that Dango ticket, because it's going to increase it to 90. Now, there's a new feature in the thing, which is the hopping skewers. Now, hopping skewers is going to give you additional benefit if you do it, but it's going to cost you in terms of activation chance. It's going to lower the activation chance. So this might be worth it for some things if you really want to, but in my case, I don't actually like using hopping skewers, because I always like ensuring that I'm getting Dango Bombardier, and using hopping skewers is going to lower the chance of activation from 90% to 70%, which, I tried using them a couple of times, and every single time that it did not activate, I cursed the cats preparing the Dango. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Why did I not get my Bombardier? I hate you. But then, it would have an added effect, which if you actually read it, it says, adds a minor chance of reducing sharpness loss when firing or not consuming sticky wyvern ammo. So, the bonus is pretty good. It helps out with the sharpness when it comes to full bursting with a gun lance, or, potentially not losing ammo when firing stickies. Like, that's pretty good, but it's going to cost you. So this is going to be a bit of a gamble that you're doing before you go on a quest. Now, the second thing that you put on the skewer is going to have also its chance lowered a little bit for a minor bonus. And the third one is just straight up going to get a debuff. So, you're not even going to get that much benefit out of the third one. So, keep that thing in mind if you really want to buff yourself up. Personally, I don't really use hopping skewers all that much, because Dango Bombardier is far too valuable. And maybe for Dango Booster, some people want to do it because it'll be at 90%, but it greatly increases the attack and defense. So I think a lot of people are going to be gambling on Dango Booster, but I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Just be aware that the option is there if you want to mess around with that. And since, this is going to be very important for you to have those Dango tickets if you want to play around with this system, which is why I wanted to tell you guys how to get Dango tickets and also tell you a little bit about how these food buffs work. Now let's talk about Palicoes and Palamutes real quick. As you guys know, I'm obsessed with these because these are your companions whenever you are playing solo. They're fairly important, and this is something that you'll want to keep in mind. Now, usually you guys would see me come up and I would do the buddy scout, and I would be looking for the most perfect possible Palico that would have all of the skills that I could possibly want, and that was a complete friggin' nightmare, which caused me to curse Yuri's name multiple times. Yori, the little kid back in the Buddy Plaza, right? Because I would always want to get, specific skills in my Palicos, and it would never happen. So the good news is that you no longer have to worry about any of that. You don't have to worry about any of that. Like, starting things off with Sunbreak, what you want to do is make sure that you get the passive skills that you need. So say, for instance, you want to get Support Centric, which is an important skill. You could hire this Palico and then train him up in the dojo if you go up to the Buddy Dojo, you can go in here and you can start training different Palicoes and stuff. So you could train them up, level them up in the dojo, and unlock the skill. And after you unlock the skill, you're going to be able to pass off that skill into other buddies. So to give you guys an idea, we can go to Buddy Skill Lesson and we can pick Palicoes. And as you can see, I can change all the skills in this Palico for other skills that I've already unlocked. So the important part is for you to actually unlock the skills that you want by training the Palicoes up, and then as you just play through the game and you complete the request that this guy gives you, eventually you'll be able to exchange everything. And when I say everything, I mean not just the passive skills, but also the support moves as well. Not the top and bottom ones, because those are like their class skills almost, but all of the other ones are completely customizable. Like, you want to go fight wind because you're playing bow or dual blades? Sure thing, bro, no problem. You want some unendemic life because you want additional wirebugs? No problem. You want a shock prison? No, you're fighting an elder dragon. Okay, then swap it up and get a flash bomb or a shock tripper. You know, you can just swap these around, but not from the start. Okay, you're going to have to advance in master rank, and you're going to have to complete requests for this guy. So every request that he does, you'll want to pay attention to, and you want to make sure to complete it, and then you'll be able to fully customize your Palicoes and also your Palamutes. So this is not just Palicoes, this is also Palamutes, okay? Another important thing about Palamutes is that this time around, Palamutes get like a secret stash, a special stash pouch. So if you happen to be running around a map gathering, you're going to have additional inventory space if you have a Palamute on your team. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Usually I run 2 Palicoes regardless. It's not really a big deal. So it doesn't bother me that much. But just know that that is an option if you really want to go out and gather a whole bunch of stuff, right? Now, another important thing, you'll eventually be able to increase skill memory for your Palicoes and Palamutes. This allows you to equip more passive skills. What you need for this is going to be a Rurikhan, and this you get through your Meowcenaries and the Argosy. So you want to keep those things rolling from the second that you get the Sunbreak. If you don't know how that stuff works, I'll explain you real quick. You get 4 Palicoes or Palamutes or whatever, and basically you select them and you send them out on missions. It's like, it's a super, I could recall them, I shouldn't recall them, but it's a super easy system. Just look, go to Meowcenaries, send them out. If you don't have enough Palicoes or whatever, just hire more. You can just hire them. You don't have to equip them. You don't have to do anything to them. Just hire them, send them out, and they will even level up while they're doing it. You don't even have to bother leveling them up. You know, you're just going to have less rewards while you're sending them out, but they will eventually level up to max level just by doing this, so you don't have to worry too much about what. But just keep sending them out. Whenever your mercenaries, your Meowcenaries are back, get in here, send them out. Same thing for the Argosy. As you can see, we have the Argosy here. We are sending our dudes out. I'm actually not using buddy bargaining, but you should. Right now, I'm not going to do it, but like the best one is obviously Breakneck. If you don't have Breakneck or you're trying to save some points, you can get Easy Peasy Bargain, which is also important, and it'll get you more and more items. Just right now, I've already collected most of the items that I need, which, by the way, I would recommend you to get a bunch of honey, a bunch of mandragora, a bunch of bitter bugs, so that you can craft max potions, stuff like that. But, you know, I'll leave it to you guys. Choose what you want. Just make sure to send them out to do stuff, right? Now, another important thing is there's a new feature, and I actually didn't even understand how this feature worked for a while there, which is called Backroom Deals. And I didn't even realize that you have to enable this because, you know, if you do buddy bargaining, they don't let you disable it, right? But you go to trade request and you can enable it or disable it. And basically these can bring back melding pudding, which is a very valuable resource for you to do more melding stuff. It gives you a lot of melding points. MP accelerant, which is a thing that allows you to skip the wait for the melding. So if you really just want to meld a bunch of charms, you want to have this. And locked treasure chest, which is something that you can get for crafting specific armors and specific layered armors. So this is also, the locked treasure chest is not as important. There are other things that they get you sometimes, like barrels and stuff like that, and they'll bring a bunch of stuff. So in my opinion, it's a good idea to turn this on. But if you really need the material that you are getting, like say for instance, okay, but I really need honey, and he keeps bringing me this trash that I don't actually want, okay, then turn it off. So I've had it running turned on the whole time, and I actually suspect that eventually Capcom is going to change the stuff that the Backroom Deals is going to offer you, like maybe in an update patch, free title update or something like that. They'll change the rewards. So I would keep these running, but I'll leave that up to you if you want to do it or not. Just again, my personal recommendation, Keep your Meowcenaries and Argosy running non-stop, and make sure to scout buddies that have the passive skills that you want, because you need to unlock those skills in order to then be able to swap them into the other Palicoes. But I'm probably going to do like a Palico dedicated guide at some point. This is just to give you like a general idea on how this stuff works. Now, another thing you guys might remember, if we actually go back to the Buddy Plaza, you guys might remember that there was actually a zone in here, right? Which you could go to get some of the stuff for the Palicoes. Like in this case, it would be up this tree. As I remember, there was like a Cohoot Nest in here, and you can just come in here and you can harvest, and it'll give you stuff that'll get you Zenny, Trap Tools, Lagny Apples, and some other random materials, right? Naturally, they did one of those as well for Elgato. Now, how do you get there? I'm going to be showing you that right now. So you go through to the command post. There's the command post. You climb up these steps, and then there's like this thing here, and then you climb off to this side, and you go up here. And you can see that there's a Cohoot Nest, which is going to give you stuff. And as you can see, you can grab both of them. You can grab the one in here, and you can also go back then and grab the one in the Buddy Plaza. And as you can see, you get great wet fish, Lagny Apples, rations, trap tools, just like general junk that could be useful for you, you know, particularly for those of you that didn't grind a whole lot and maybe you're missing some materials. There's just free consumables, you know, just like straight up. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? Now, another important thing that, you know, it's not super important, but if you come up here, which it's not, sometimes it's a little bit tricky to get up here. So if you got problems, just know that you can come from this side as well. But, you know, if you come up here, you'll notice that there's a Cohoot Nest, and you can feed this Cohoot. Kind of works almost like Poogie. Like, you'll notice when you feed it, she's going to give you like hearts and stuff. But eventually there's also going to be a request that they're going to do that's going to have you picture 3 Cahoots. And it actually took me a while to complete that one, but one of the Cahoots is this one. So you can just come up here with the camera, you take a shot, and, you know, you'll capture that one. Another one of the Cahoots is actually going to be this one, just in case you guys eventually get that quest. And the other Cohoot can be your own, which can be spotted throughout multiple spots of Elgato's. It usually chases you around. Like if we go over here, it'll eventually land somewhere near me. At least usually it does. For some reason today it's being shy, so I can't spot it. But, you know, usually your Cohoot you'll find it in multiple places. Like usually when I come here, it ends up going in that box. But yeah, oh, there it is. There's your Cohoot, see? And there you go. It lands in the box. So you can take a picture of your own Cohoot, and that will also count. But yeah, that's the secret Cohoot spot of Elgato. It's not really particularly secret, whatever. But yeah, and also explore this place. This place is pretty nice. You can explore it. It's pretty small. It's not too huge. It's whatever. Now, another important tip, and this one most people should already be aware of, but I'm just going to bring it out here for people that are not aware of it. But, you know, you can go to your Hunter's Notes. Hunter's Notes is an extremely important thing, even for Hunter Info, because it's got like information about random people if you want to know more about the different people in Elgato, or the, you know, more information about the Rampage or whatever. Like, there's plenty of information in Hunter Info, but there's also information in Hunter's Notes. And the one in Hunter's Notes is the most important one. If you go over, there's even weapon controls. Like if you don't want to wait for my weapon guides, you can see like a lot of controls in here and some interesting combos and stuff like that for every single weapon. I kind of feel like a lot of players don't even know this thing exists. But, you know, this is in your Hunter's Notes. But the one that I think is the most important is if you go to large monsters. And I'm not going to be cycling any further down in this list because I do not want to reveal all of the monsters for the people that have been avoiding spoilers and stuff like that. But if you go over to this section, you'll notice that in here, after you hunt the monster a couple of times, you're going to have all of the information that you could ever possibly want on the monster. Like you can see that this is a bird wyvern. You can see like where it's weak. You can go to its head. Okay, and in the head is weak 80 for severing, 80 for blunt damage, and 75, I think it's called strike damage, whatever, and 75 for piercing damage. Then it also tells you which element is this monster weakest to, which as you can see if you look at the values there, the higher the value, the weaker it is. This monster is weak to thunder. So, you know, if you're for some reason in dire need of hunting a bunch of Great Azuchis and you want to know the element they're weakest to is thunder. But, you know, not every weapon uses elements, so it's not like super important information, but for the weapons that do use element, you might want to keep that in mind. It also tells you the ailment effectiveness basically in this particular screen. You can see that the description there says everything you need. The higher the bars and the more stars, the more advantageous it'll be for you. So you know he's very weak to poison, he's very weak to paralysis, he's not as weak to blast. He's still weak to blast, just not as much as poison and paralysis, right? And it also tells you which materials he drops, how you can get those materials. So like for instance, you can see that there's a 6% chance if you capture it of getting a bird wyvern gem. There's hard bones for target. It tells you everything that you got to do to get any type of stuff. And now it even tells you wyvern riding moves, which I didn't think they did that. That's pretty cool. That's a new thing. But yeah, it's like something that you might want to check out from time to time, particularly if you're struggling with a specific monster. You might check this out and you might find like some kind of a meaningful advantage over that monster. And this is another one of those things that I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't even know this thing exists. And finally, I want you to remember one person in Elgato, and that is this lady. Fran the Stalwart. If you ever get requests from Fran the Stalwart, you might want to prioritize them for the next thing that I'm going to show you, which is Jewel Lilies and Great Wirebugs. They are particularly important this time around because the maps are pretty big, and without Wirebugs, sometimes you're going to be struggling to find your way, and they've made it easier for you to see where Wirebugs are and how to use Wirebugs. So what we're going to do here is we are going to go on an expedition tour. I'm going to go to the jungle during daytime. We're just going to depart. I'm not really going to eat or anything because this is just to show you guys a specific mechanic. And now, when you're here, if you open up the map, you guys can see, you can see information in the map. This is, again, something for people that don't know. For some reason, if you happen not to know how the map works, you can actually cycle through using the shoulder buttons. And this will show you all the perma buffers. So these are your spear birds. This will show you other endemic life. So in here you can find, oh, I need to get a yellow boy. I need to get like a tarantula, something like that. And you can see all of those in the map and gathering points and all of that stuff. But this is one of the really cool things. Look at that. Jewel Lilies, Great Wirebugs, they now tell you exactly where these bad boys go, which is why you want to keep doing the request for Fran, because she's going to be rewarding you with additional Great Wirebugs that you'll be able to place down on these Jewel Lilies that will make navigating the map a whole lot easier. So as you can see, there are a couple of white arrows in the map right now. Like there's one right down there. You guys can see it slightly above the one. And that particular arrow means that that is a Jewel Lily that I haven't really placed a Wirebug in yet, which means that it's not telling me where that thing is going to go. Now you can also open up the icon list with your top faceplate button, and this allows you to specifically target things that you want. Like, okay, I really want the dumb spider, the puppet spider. Okay, there it is. And now you know where it is. And you can actually leave that marked so that, if you leave that marked, if you open up your map and you get close enough to it, which that particular spider is actually fairly close, so I should be able to show you. But basically, if you leave that marked in your map and you happen to be close enough to your target, it will actually show you where your target is. Let me just really quickly move because I know where the spider is. It's fairly close. There it is. See? And it'll actually show it on your map if you press the left button. When you press the left button, it's going to show you a more detailed map. Also notice how it shows you the Wirebugs. Like if you see right there, oh, that Wirebug is going to shoot me off in that general direction, which is really, really cool. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this Great Wirebug, because that is going to take us close to the Jewel Lilies that I still haven't done, right? Because guys, remember, we saw the Jewel Lilies somewhere around here. I actually don't remember. Oh, actually, they're super close. Where are these? Interesting. I didn't realize you had to bomb this, but as you guys can see, we now have this Jewel Lily spot. That's probably why I hadn't gotten these Jewel Lilies yet. Oh my god, look at how far these go! Wait, they straight up go off the map? What in the hell? Dude, I'm losing it. I have no idea what this is, but we're gonna check it out real quick. The island off the map! I always wondered how to get here. Nice. I actually did not know about this. I was just doing this for the video. That was cool. But anyways, now you've learned. and now you can come back. But that is how Jewel Lily stuff works. And keep in mind that, like I said, if you open up your map, you can do all kinds of stuff, including if we just go all the way here, you can go also to Jewel Lilies Undiscovered, which there will be a ton of them probably when you first go to the map because you haven't placed them down. And this will just show you, oops, I messed around with my map again, sorry about that. And this will just show you the undiscovered Jewel Lilies when you open up the map. Which, as you can see, I'm actually only missing one Jewel Lily. Huh? That's pretty good. But anyways, this video is already way longer than I initially intended. I thought that this was going to be a fast video, but you guys know me. When I start going, I never stop. Hopefully this guide helps some of you hunters out there, and I'm going to go back to working on my gun lens guide, which I hope to provide to you fairly quick, and then I'm going to figure out which other weapons I'll be providing after that. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit it up with a like. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.